I think the district's been just trying to catch up with Jim.
Construction of the first phase of the trail began in earnest. What many considered an impossibility became a tangible track along the shore and through the forest. Even lifelong residents of Ucluelet would not be prepared for the spectacular nature of the trail. In 1999, the section of the trail known as the Lighthouse Loop opened to the public. First lit in 1906, in response to a slew of horrific shipwrecks the previous winter, the original lighthouse was swept from its perch by a tidal wave in 1914. The current lighthouse at Amphitrite Point began operation the following year, and stands sentinel over the sunken graves of sailors from shipwrecks such as the nearby Pass of Melfort, lost there with all her people on a bitter December night in 1905. These ship-killing storms have now become a popular spectacle for users of the trail, which provides safe footing when the Pacific reveals her might.
Well, we're beginning to construct the most important viewpoint on the trail so far. This location with a cantilevered deck out over the rock, you'll be able to see up and down the coast. It's spectacular. And when the big swells come in, the energy and the concussions that run through your body is just amazing. So this is going to be the premier viewing spot especially for storm watching, and we're just now beginning to construct it.
The power of these storms dramatically sculpts the coastal rainforest of old-growth cedar, western hemlock, and spruce through which the trail passes. When the tempests abate, it is a sun-dappled place of ancient giants that edges on a soothing sea.
When we're talking about how ferocious, how awesome, how intimidating, how humbling it gets out here, we're here by the trail, and out there, well, you can see it's a long ways out to the edge of the green space and then way farther out to the ocean. And this pile of logs that I'm standing in front of here was deposited 3 years ago by a huge storm. And in order to get these logs in here, the water had to come through the forest. This used to be a forest right here, but it was all wiped out and all of these logs deposited in here. And as a result of storms like this, we learned that in certain areas we cannot place a trail extremely close to the edge of the ocean. And in this particular case, the trail has been wiped out a couple of times. The new trail is placed in behind so that we provide a completely safe experience for people who come here to walk this trail.
Wildlife abounds here, and for much of its length, the trail follows the time-honored tracks of a multitude of species and passes benignly through their territories. A rainbow of invertebrates clings to the shoreline. Sightings of California and Steller sea lions are common. Seals sun themselves, and sea otters feed and groom in rafts of bull kelp close to the shore. Such close encounters are a hallmark of the trail. And each year, From the trail's viewpoints and vistas, hikers can witness one of the most magnificent wildlife migrations on the planet. During March through May, more than 20,000 Pacific gray whales pass this stretch of coastline, while migrating from their winter calving lagoons off Baja, Mexico, to their feeding grounds in the Bering and Chukchi Seas. This 22,000-kilometer round-trip journey is believed to be the longest of its kind in the animal world. Traveling at an average speed of 5 kilometers per hour, the mature males and single females are the first to pass inside of the trail, followed by the cows and calves. Reaching a maximum length of 16 meters and weighing in at up to 36 tons, these bottom-feeding baleen whales can attain an age of 60 years. This annual procession is a spectacle that was almost lost forever due to the commercial whaling that all but drove the species to extinction during the early 1900s. There are few places on Earth where such a natural marine wonder can be viewed from the safety of the shore.
One of the great things about this area, of course, is the whale watching. And it's the luck of the draw, but occasionally, and rather frequently at times, you can get very up close and personal with these whales. These whales will come into the rocks, they'll be checking out nooks and crannies. They'll be coming into water so shallow that they have to virtually lay on their sides to feed on the herring roe or plankton or what have you. And if you're lucky and you're right there when it happens, you can witness a whale in full sight right in front of you. I've been out here and seen them breaching time after time, boom, out of the water, huge explosions of water. It's fabulous. The whale watching is just a huge added bonus to your trip out here.
The trail's route through this rugged terrain was matched yard and tenacity for seeing the project through.
The problem is here that this tree is valuable for using it along this edge of this cliff, but I can't fall it without damaging these other trees that I want to keep. So I'm going to go up with my tree climber. We'll get this down before anybody shows up with some other idea. Well, it's the thing, you know, you got to sacrifice a few for the good of the view. That's it. Sacrifice a few for the good of the view.
I think Jim goes in there. He crawls into the densest trees and the bushes that nobody could ever dream of getting into, and he sort of maps it out in his mind where it's going to go.
Whenever you go through and sight the trail, you have to look up to see which way the trees are leaning and how much dead wood there is around, and then you sight the trail on the upland side so that you don't have to take them down, and it maximizes the natural undisturbed nature of the trail, which is extremely important. When we have a section of the trail finished, there's bushes and ferns overgrowing the edges. It looks like it's been there forever. That's a real plus.
In 2002, the second section of the trail, skirting sheer cliffs and traversing powerful surge channels, was completed for public use. 5 years later, the development of private lands through which this section passed would call for a complete rebuilding.
Yeah, it's very refreshing when people you deal with stick to their deals they made. Charles Smith in particular. This was private land owned by Weyerhaeuser, and he was a representative. And the deal was to rebuild this trail to a more detailed and final position as